Hello, everybody. This is Tony Hager with Takedown Wrestling and IAWrestle.com, and we are joined today by Jeremiah Moody. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good, man. Well, yesterday you had some good news for Hawkeye fans. You've decided to commit to Ryan Morningstar and company. How has this last 2 days been for you?
It's been pretty exciting. I usually don't use social media that much, and now my Twitter is just like blowing up, and everyone's following me and stuff, and everyone's tweeting about me being a new commit, so it's kind of exciting.
Well, I mean, you haven't been around the wrestling world for a lot of people to even know about you. Media, even wrestlers probably don't even know your name. They've grown accustomed to that on the international or at Fargo. But you just started wrestling as a freshman and competing in sports. What got you to come out for football initially?
Um, well, all of my friends played sports, and a majority of those friends played football, and they were always telling stories about it, and it sounded like a lot of fun. And I was missing out on it. I was missing out on all the fun, so I decided that I had decided this in eighth grade, and I just decided the next year I was going to play football.
How you never had any people weren't pushing you along as you were growing up to be a part of any sports, or you just had no interest whatsoever in it?
When I was really young, my dad threw me in some martial arts classes, but then I stopped doing those, and then I really had no pressure, and I could just do whatever I wanted, and it was just a decision I made on my own.
Since you've made this decision and you've just fallen in love with wrestling, is it something that you're just no looking back now? I mean, are you completely happy with your decision? I mean, wrestling is one of the hardest sports out there. What has drawn you to this sport?
Well, I love the sport, and I really like how hard it is. I One of the biggest things I like about it is I think it's a really accurate reflection of how hard you work is how much success you have, and that's probably the biggest thing that I enjoy about this sport.
With folk style, and you've got some Greco and freestyle All American status. What style do you like the best?
Well, it usually depends on the day, but I like scrambling and folk style, and normally I didn't like Greco that much, but it usually just depends on which style I'm winning more at.
Makes sense. As you wrestling season's over and you got to the state tournament, and it sounds like years past you just have run into some really tough competition in order to get to the state tournament. What was that feeling like to get to the state tournament this year?
It was pretty awesome. My I don't really count my freshman year as an attempt to get to the state tournament because I didn't make it to sectionals. But whenever I think about it, I think that third time's the charm, and I finally made it to state.
So overall record, you went 45-2 last year. What's your overall for the last 3 seasons record in folk style?
I think it was like 121 and 46 or something along those lines.
That's a lot of matches for somebody that's only been wrestling for 3 years. That is for sure. When did it kind of just click with you or click with your coaches that you had the ability to, be an All American at Fargo and win be on the medal stand at your state?
Well, my sophomore year, I was pretty confident going into the folk style season, and then I sprained my ankle before sectionals, and then I realized that I really needed to flip the switch and train harder and try and get on the podium. And then I went into Fargo the summer after my sophomore year, and my club coaches were telling me that they expected me to be an All-American, and I didn't even know what an All-American was. And so I went into Greco, and I went 3-2, and people kept telling me that I was going to place and everything, and then I went 0-2 in freestyle, and I just felt disappointed, and I wanted to make my coaches prouder of me, even though they said that they weren't that disappointed in me, but I just felt awful. And so my junior year, I really stepped it up in folk style and in freestyle and Greco, And it was actually kind of funny because for Fargo, my junior year, my coaches weren't telling me they expected me to place. Everyone was telling me that I was going to win it. And so that just gave me a lot more confidence that I needed going into Fargo.
So at Fargo, you had the opportunity to be introduced to Ryan Morningstar per Randy Hamilton. It looks like he was talking to you. um, when you met him, was that the first college coach that you'd been introduced to?
Um, yeah, I think it was.
And right then and then, you told him that you wanted to go to Iowa. Is that just is that something that you had been thinking about when you're going to Fargo? Did you know right away that you wanted to wrestle for Iowa?
I my junior year I was looking at colleges in the Big Ten, and based on my major, actuarial science, I saw that like Iowa is one of the best programs in the country for that major. And Cole, he's a coach at Advance, and he wrestled under Morningstar, and he always tells me positive things about Morningstar. So I just decided that I was going to go to Iowa. So it'd been on my mind for at least a couple of months, and I wanted to do well at Fargo to impress him.
Well, the Hawkeye coaches they're very hard on their wrestlers, and they expect the best out of all of them all the time. So pressing the coaches, you obviously caught the eye of Ryan Morningstar. He was excited when you told him that you were going to be an Iowa a wrestler back then. You didn't commit at that point. When you made that, did you make that phone call to Ryan Morningstar on Thursday,
Um,
or did you talk to him? What, did you make a visit to Iowa? How did this all kind of come to fruition for you?
well, I went to an unofficial visit about 2 weeks ago, and I didn't even have to go see all the wrestlers, but I just went there and I was like, "Hey guys, what's going on? I'm gonna be here next year. This is awesome." And I met all the guys, and it was really great. And then on my official visit, I walked in, and the first thing I said was, "So how do I make it official that I'm coming here next year?" And then he's just like, "We'll take care of that." And then I was really pumped. And then I just met some more guys, and it was even better.
Well, since you've committed, you said that you've been getting a lot of followers on Twitter, and I noticed that you took a little time out from that. Is that something that you did on your own, or kind of your coach told you, stay off social media, just because we all know what can happen or what has happened with young athletes?
Well, my first 2 years of high school, everyone was like getting in a lot of trouble for Twitter and everything. And I realized that I was just like wasting a lot of time on Twitter, and I could be training and getting better at wrestling instead of doing that. And so I just made the decision on my own to spend my time doing other stuff.
Ryan and Brands and Company, I'm sure they look at that kind of stuff. I'm sure they check up on their wrestlers just to see how they interact on social media. But I'm sure they're excited to have you join the squad in 2 years. What have they kind of talked to you about from now until then, until you get into the Iowa wrestling room, to make yourself better as a college wrestler? Because you were at 152 this year, 157, 165. Is that what you're thinking when you get to Iowa?
Well, I'm really just leaving it all up to the coaches because I just want to go there, work hard, and do what they say and tell me to do. We haven't really talked that much about next year and the following years. I've just been asking for opportunities to come up and train with them. I've really just told them what I plan to do, and they just tell me to keep up what I'm doing because it's gotten me this far.
And one thing that I've noticed, I've been wrestling for a long time and recently been coaching for the last 3-4 years. And I had the opportunity to coach a kid that just came out for wrestling in eighth grade. His name is Nick Grant from Johnson, and he ended up being a state champ the next year. And what I like about him is he has no bad habits. He doesn't. He's not lazy. He doesn't know anything different. He goes to the practice room and works hard and doesn't slack off. Do you feel like you have an advantage over some of these other guys that have kind of walked up through kindergarten, first and second grade, and they kind of feel like they know it all? You're just kind of 100% in the wrestling room, learning as much as you can.
Well, yeah, I think about that a lot because I've met a lot of guys that have a lot more technique and better technique than me, but they've kind of slacked off during high school and stuff because they've already been good and they've dominated in youth. Then they come to high school and they're not working as hard, and then they don't make it to state and they get beat. And I think that one of the only positive things of me starting so late is that I don't have any bad habits, or my bad habits are a lot easier to fix than most people.
Have the Iowa coaches talked to you? Have you said anything to them, or has that conversation even been brought up that, hey, I've only been wrestling for 3 years? Are they concerned at all about that, or are they tickle pink to have you in the room and just because you've been such a sponge for the last 3 years?
Well, I usually don't bring it up that much because it doesn't really matter to me. I'm just a wrestler like everyone else. But I think from what I've talked about them with it, they're pretty impressed with that I've only been wrestling since my freshman year, and they're just excited to have me there.
Where are you planning on wrestling this summer? Any kind of events that an Iowa fan should be looking forwards to?
Well, I'm going to Fila's, and I'm going to Northern Plains, and depending on how I do at those, I might go to an additional tournament.
Did you have an opportunity to watch Agon? Because I mean, there was three of them there. Did you watch three of the? It'd be Alex Marinelli, Michael Kemmer, and Justin Mejia. Did you watch that event?
I haven't yet, but I really want to.
Well, you have to get on tmwc1.com. I believe it's still available for rent on pay per view. I think it's $4.99, or actually it might have gone down to $1.99. Oh, again, wrestling fans, we've been talking with Jeremiah Moody here, going to Iowa next year. I guess I was wrong. I apologize for that. I thought you were just a junior, but the Iowa commit just yesterday, and we at the IowaWrestling.com will be following your career here this summer and your redshirt year, because they will have you in multiple open events. What do you want Iowa fans to know more about you?
Um, I mean, there's not much to tell. I just want them to know that I'm coming here. I'm coming to Iowa because I know it's going to be hard, and I want to be in a room where I get beat up, and I have to work hard all the time.
You'll definitely get at your weight class. There'll be some guys that will be there ready to brawl for you and make you better. And that sounds like that's your mentality. Is that you've got to put the work in, and hopefully you'll find your way in the lineup and when the time is right. On behalf of Takedown Wrestling and iawrestle.com, I want to wish you the best of luck this coming summer and training. And when you get on campus, I'm sure we'll see you around, Jeremiah. Thanks again.
Thanks.